Okay, picked up a couple new projects. This one is a Bilt Horse XP hydrostatic. And it is from, you can see that, it's upside down anyway. Date of manufacture, March 2013. So it's 10 years old. Don't look too bad for being 10 years old. Don't know why. But anyway, it's kind of just a generic a more budget hydrostatic riding lawnmower. Oh yay! Another Kohler Courage. Oh, I guess the thing doesn't look too bad. Huh. Guess I need to invest in a different camera or something. Pretty clean around the engine. We were supposed to get, oh there we go, 46-inch deck, 22 horse single cylinder Kohler Courage, known to have tons of problems, you know. This one I think actually has kind of a weird problem for these engines. I've only seen one other Kohler Courage that has, I think, that has this problem. It has what I think is wrong with it. Previous owner said it was bending push rods. Get the hood off, and now what the previous owner said was wrong with this was it quit running on him. So he took it to somebody and they replaced a bent push rod. He brought it back home. A couple weeks later, same problem. Same bent push rod again. So, if that's the case, more than likely what we got is a valve guide or a valve problem. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Put some power to it and see what happens. We'll use our booster pack here. This thing didn't come with a battery. I'm probably going to have parking brake on. All right. Well, it also turns over really slow, which could be a bad connection. Could also be a matter of fuel. Couldn't think. It's got such a low gas tank. Let's go ahead. Pull the top off of here. Yank the spark plug out. Since I have no reason to believe that this will run, hopefully it's not got a broken compression release. That would really kind of suck. Well, I might have one of those around here somewhere. That's what it takes. I was told this thing had lived the last 10 years in a garage. Looks like we got some electrical table with a coil wire. Don't really know what's up with that. My guess would be mouse chewed. Spark plug looks pretty good. Really? You know, it's not all carboned up or anything. But it is a Briggs & Stratton spark plug, so that's probably the whole problem right there. Oh, let's see how it turns over now. Yeah. So I think what's wrong with this is either a valve guide has come loose and moved in the head, or a valve is sticking in the valve guide, causing the bent push rod syndrome. Hopefully the audio is a little better on this video. I didn't really do anything to fix it other than I switch back to my original microphone, because my new one just does not work with this camera. Okay. So based on the previous owner's statement of it has a bent push rod, that one didn't need to go. We're just going to open her up and see if that's actually the case. Does have me a little worried about a bad compression release now, but what are you going to do? Generally, my rule number one is you never believe anything that the previous owner tells you. Not so much because they're lying to you, but just because they don't know. You know? Most people have no idea. Well, so far, yeah, that's a muffler bolt. Yeah. So far, I'm kind of thinking no bent push rod. Oh yeah. How about that? I don't know if you can really see how bent that is. It's bent there, and it's bent there. Which, pretty sure the exhaust valve, which is this one, is supposed to have a steel rod, but maybe not. Pretty sure it's supposed to, though. And this one, on the intake side, straight as an arrow. Good. So, what causes a bent push rod? I don't know if you can. If we look down, we look right down in here. Put my finger out of there and maybe it'll focus. Come on, focus. Focus. Anyway, what's happened is, if you look at, where am I at? There we go. If you look at both the valve stems there, you can see that the one on the intake side is the same diameter, and the exhaust valve looks like it changes diameter and gets bigger. Well, that's because the guide that's pressed into the head has moved up out of the head, and it's only got about 1/4 of an inch or so of travel. Well, when that push rod tries to get pushed out to open that valve, something's got to give, and aluminum push rod was what gave first. All right, So to remove this head, we're going to need the muffler out of the way. I think it wasn't a snake, huh? Take the air box housing off all the way. Little EPA hose out of the way. Carburetor. One little 8mm screw towards the back. And oh, good. Now this one, some of these, the fuel shutoff solenoid, you know, hits the frame rail. Well, on these Kohlers, you can take that first screw out, rotate this just enough to get past the frame. And get that out of there. Guess we're going to have to unhook this fuel line. There's no two ways around it. Get you a fuel line clamp. Those things are handy as heck. I don't know how long this was sitting, so I don't know if we're going to get to go through this carb or not. Apparently it was running last year. We'll just set this carburetor up there on the bench in a little container to hopefully contain any fuel that's still in it. Alright. Got the exhaust off, carburetor off. Don't. Yeah, that heat. One of our exhaust bolts. Okay, and then the head bolts themselves, which flavor you like to use. Made this. Obviously it didn't. Let's That's all there is at 6 head bolts. And the old head should fall right off. Let's go ahead. So, okay. So, a more common problem with these heads is the valve seats coming out of them. I've seen quite a few of them do that, but these look fine. Don't look like they've moved at all. A little gigantic Kohler heads. So generally, I just put a big socket underneath the valve. Get my magnet on a stick. Piece of wood under there to make it more stable. Nasty old alignment pliers. Push the valve spring down. Very difficult to do. And bang, take out the retainer. And you're free. And this one, there's nothing wrong with. The valve guide is down where it should be, has the seal on it and everything. So that one's okay. Got the all right. Valve doesn't even want to come out. But now you can see that guide on this side is pushed so much farther out than the guide on this side. Let's see. The valve is not bent. See now with the valve out of there, this is the guide, and it should be down in the head like the intake one. I don't know if there's a really good way to show you the depth, but see this sticking up, it's pretty much flush with the gasket surface, and this one is 3/8 of an inch lower. So that's what's the problem with this is. And honestly, other than that, and gasket ripped, that could be a problem. But it'll be a problem for future Scott. So, you know, you look around on YouTube and you can find ways to fix moved valve stem guides. Some people just push them back in and hope for the best, which I admit I've done that. You know, so I don't know. But anyway, I've seen where guys will push them the rest of the way out, do stuff to the hole, put some thread, you know, put some kind of super glue or something on them, and push them back in and hope for the best. I've seen people that'll, you know, take a punch and dimple around. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there. I've seen where people have taken a punch and dimpled around the casting on both sides, hoping to get a better grip on it. And I've done that one myself. Usually put a little Loctite on, you know, push this whole thing out, put some Loctite in there, get it back where I want it, and then using a center punch, just tap around the casting. You know, the theory is that when you do that, you close up the hole. But I'm not going to mess with that because I'm pretty sure I have one of these heads from a recent project that I can just put on instead of messing with this. Well, let's have a look at the rest of this engine. Let's see. Oh. Aside from a little carbon buildup on the piston itself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it on camera, but look at that. You can still see that cross hatching. That thing, I have no idea how many hours are on this. It doesn't have an hour meter. And, you know, hour meters cost money. Trying to build a cheap lawnmower, no money in the budget for an hour meter. I'm going to go look in the shed, the other shed, see if I've got another head that we can put on here. Probably have to run in the house and get the other battery too. I'll be back. All right. So we went out to the shed, found a different head. I don't know if you're going to be able to see down in there. Probably not. I'm not a very good cameraman. But right there, you can see that the valve guides in this head are both down where they belong. This head is considerably cleaner. Not perfectly clean. Well, this side of it is kind of perfectly clean. And I'm not really going to worry about cleaning it up too much. Okay. Got the crud cleaned out of there. Cleaned a little of the crud out of the combustion chamber. Cleaned the top of the piston a bit. Now, we'll let this sucker back together. Get one in there to hold everything in place. One of these has a big washer on it. That goes right below the exhaust. Otherwise, the other 5 can go wherever you'd like to put them. Wherever you're brave enough to put them. Okay. Now we'll get our torque wrench on the first go around. This one here got a couple of dactyls, so okay, and then to 370 inch-pounds. Where's that big boy? All right. Okay. Get our push rods back in, give them a little blast of carb cleaner. Brake cleaner, carb cleaner, oven cleaner, whatever you got. Okay, now you go to adjust your valve. Okay, right there's your overlap. You just need to find top dead center. Both valves are closed all the way. Rocket science. It's a lawnmower. 5 on the intake. Okay, that might be just a hair snug, but we're going to go ahead and adjust the other one. Okay. And I usually spin them around. Seeing if you wanted to, some people adjust their valves by, run one to the point where it's open all the way and then set the other one because it has to be closed all the way. But I usually spin it around a couple of times. Just to make sure everybody's happy. Oh, where did Mr. 7 go? Okay, that one might be a little loose. I think these are quite possibly the worst valves to adjust. Well, let's see what happens when we turn it over. Nothing, because the brake is off. Gotta have the brake on. Let's see. What did I do with Mr. Spark Plug? I think it'll be all right. Now let's see if it'll crank over. Now, I tell you, this setup they got for mounting a carburetor on this engine is just horrible. You know, they got this giant oblong hole, and they use a plastic thing to reduce the size of the hole, and then this gasket is supposed to be blocking off that part of the hole. This one was on this head that I got out of the shed. This one was the one that was on the head that was on this engine, and it's missing that chunk. I don't know how important that chunk is. I don't have any of those gaskets. I'm just picking up these valves and parts off from this other head, storing them in the proper place. Where they wind up knocked all over the floor. Anyway, so I think this is going to be wonderful. I think it's going to work. I think go ahead and drop the bowl on the old carburetor here. Let's see if we can see anything in there that shouldn't be there. Come on. Well, I probably can't show you because I can't turn my hand that far, but the bowl's still full of gas. There's just a little tiny bit of water beaded up around the bottom. Probably not enough to even affect how it would run. Not really any crud in there to speak of. So I think probably should have cleaned the outside of the thing off better. Okay. Hate to think I took a nice clean carb like this, took the bowl off, and got a bunch of crap inside of it. To mess it up. It happens though. Alright. This gasket on here looks nice. So we're not going to mess with that. Choke spring is working good. This has one of those, has a single lever throttle choke combo. All the way up is choke, and then as you back it off, the spring loaded lever on the carburetor is what actually opens the choke back up. So yeah, I think we're just gonna put this back on. They've got about 5 different versions of this engine. This one has this plastic doodad in the head. It has like a shoehorn built onto it. And it doesn't have a spacer. This was on this engine. It's just a spacer that goes to a round hole. That must be one of the newest versions, I guess, because normally... Let's take a look at the other head and see if there's anything in that hole. Well, there is. Same things in this hole. Little reducer with a shoehorn on the end of it. So I would say that and that are the same things, right? Yep. So, put that in there. And then one of these gaskets can go on there. And then this spacer. All these things, that's I guess we can clean that up a little. Oily crud on it. Now you can get those gaskets. I never have. Because I almost always have one around here because I've scrapped so many of those engines. Now, something you can do is on this spacer, there is this bolt. And since that hole is in that gasket, that bolt will, you can shove it right down into the head when you're trying to put the carb on. So I usually take a little piece of duct tape and put on the back of that. Keep that bolt from moving around. Trim it up just a little bit to fit around the hole. There's a raised lip around there too. There. Sort of like that. Little piece of duct tape on there keeps that bolt from being able to just slide right out of your reach on the outside world. And I think that'll be okay. We'll find out once we get her together, I guess. See how well it runs. If it's got a massive, if it's running real lean, might have to pull that back off and make a gasket for it. choke rods back in. Don't forget to hook up your little spring. The spring's being a pain in the ass. There we go. Now, this has to go back on the same way it came off, a little angle. Whoops. No. I guess actually that has to go in first. Then a little angle to get past the frame. Boom. Then you got to take your ground wire for your carb solenoid. Make sure that's under that bolt. And put that bolt back in. I usually don't get too carried away with tightening that bolt down. Plug in your solenoid right away, because if you forget later on, you'll be going, why isn't this starting? So the solenoid's plugged in. Now I'm going to find a little container. And see what I'm doing here or not. Probably not. Just going to take and unstop the fuel line. Let some of the fuel into this container. Oops. Didn't get it. Come on. Pinched off again. It's not too bad. It's a little yellow, so it's got some age on it, but still smells like gas. A little bit of crud floating in there that I managed to get in there. Okay. So, don't see any water developing on the bottom of it. Apparently, whatever we've got in the tank, well, which isn't much, is pretty good gas. So we'll just go ahead. I think before we do anything else, we're going to let's go ahead, take a look at this little guy. Yeah, the oil drain. These things, you know, they've been putting these on lawnmower engines for 25 years now, I think. And they still, see, that's loose. Right where it goes in the block is loose. They're all that way. Every single one. And if they get too loose, well, they all leak, no matter what. But if they get too loose, that's not gonna work. If they get too loose, they leak like a freaking sieve. There we go. I believe these are always 15/16. And if you have just a stubby 15/16, you might be able to get in here and tighten this up. A lot of times if I'm just changing the oil on something that's got one of these stupid valves, I'll take that valve out if I notice it's loose at all. You know, after I've drained the oil, I'll just take that valve out, clean it up good, put some put some nice thread sealer on it, because there's no thread sealer on those from the factory. It's just a piece of aluminum screwed into a piece of aluminum. Well, there. It's not loose anymore. Spacer, that plastic thing that's inside the intake. Probably be best if you didn't even use an impact on those nuts, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. Just don't get carried away with it. I guess I'm done working on that oil drain. I could probably move you over here to where I'm working. We're going to get this gasket off. It was loose, you know, a third of the way around, so it does have some kind of glue on it a little bit. But what I'm going to do is clean that off good with brake clean. Since the brake clean didn't get it real clean, I'm going to hit it with a little wire wheel. Just to kind of get rid of whatever adhesive they had on there that wasn't doing nothing. And then I'm going to put a real light bead of gray RTV around the edge. Just, you know, this stuff. And I'm going to clean this cork gasket with brake clean or carb spray or whatever you got. Just to get the oil, get any oil that's on there kind of off. You know. Then take that same gray gasket maker, not too bad, crud off of that surface as well. Get over here. If you can see what I'm doing, I'm cleaning the gasket surface on the head for the rocker cover. And I'm going to take and put a little bit of this gray RTV. Doesn't need much, you know. The thing about the cork gasket, if you get too much of this RTV on here, it'll push the cork gasket right out of the mix when you go to put it on. So you just want a little bit just to seal things up. I guess you can't see what I'm doing. Oh. There. See, we're just putting ever so small layer of this gray gasket maker on here. I know a lot of guys like that black gasket maker, but I like this gray stuff. I have had tremendous success with the gray stuff. And then okay, that is supposed to be up there. You know, if we had the muffler on, we could probably see if this will run. So put the muffler on. All right. Alright, we'll hook our little EPA tube back up. Okay. It's got some kind of dirty oil, but it is full. And really not that dirty. Alright. The exhaust fan going. Just in case. Just in case. Alright. Well, you guys in a good place here. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Guns and dies. Well, hear the carb solenoid clicking. What the world's going on? Choke is working. Maybe it's out of gas. That looked like it had about an inch gas in there. About half an inch, but should be enough. You can have a little gas here, though. We'll try that. Put this other gas back in there too. See if we can make a huge mess. Not too bad. Okay. There is no fuel shutoff. It's gonna suck if I gotta take that carb back off and clean it after I thought it was clean. Neat. Okay, maybe not that neat, but it does run. Apparently we're going to have to do a little bit of carb work. Or maybe my valve adjustment wasn't right. Maybe I should look up see what my valve lash needs to be set to. This engine had puddles of water all over the top of it. Well, I don't see where it's not leaking any oil. That's good. We may have to address the carb gasket there. And the valve lash may need to be a little bit more finely tuned. Maybe. Other than that, though, I'm extremely pleased with the results so far. Certainly be nice if we can get it to run a little bit better than it does. But like I say, we'll get to that in the next video. Thanks for watching.